Hello everyone, Cannon here, and it is October already, actually midway through October, and I wanted to give a relatively quick update of everything that's going on with the moving process, as well as playing some World of Warplanes in the background, as per usual for these type of videos for CannonChats. And so for the moving process, me and my parents have moved approximately like 80% of the stuff that we have um, out of our old house, and a lot of the new house stuff has been unpacked. So I don't know if I mentioned in the last month CannonChat or not, but my bedroom in the new house had a tree fall on it in a storm. So it's going to take some work to actually get my bedroom up and running as soon as we move in full time here and sell the old house. So that is definitely a process. Going into this command post here. So yeah, overall, I think we're making good progress, but we definitely wanted to be done with moving way before now, because we were kind of thinking that at first that we would get done with everything by by like September 1st, and there was no way that was going to happen. Because I think we started moving in like late July sometime or something like that. And so, yeah, that definitely wasn't going to happen. And this house I've pretty much lived in the vast majority of my life in. There was just going to college. And working in the same area as the new house, in the same town. I was working there, but I was staying at my grandma's house. So I am familiar with the area, and it's an area that my family has. We have family there, which is one of the big reasons why we're moving. Oh wow, this gun is actually not terrible. And so it has definitely just been a process. Of course, as the title says, the moving process. Let's see if I can get this guy. Oh, no. Almost got him. So that is where we're kind of at. I did stay, I think, a weekend at the new house before coming back to the old house to try to do some stuff for my parents while they're unpacking and getting stuff sorted out in the new house. And there's this small office that is in the new house that I really enjoyed. Okay, let's see. Okay, that made it easier. Wait a minute, how did we not capture that? Huh. There's a small small, like, one-room office that I've really been liking, though I might need to look into soundproofing it or something like that, because it is a really... It's like the size of a walk-in closet, so it's not huge. Okay, so this one is... Okay. And so with that, I'm definitely liking the new house. It's just when me and my parents are moving, +20 years worth of stuff, it definitely adds up here. Can I get this guy? Yes. There we go. Winged Legend even, that's a surprise on this thing. Yeah, kind of figured as much. So definitely, we're slowly getting there. It's just been taking taking so long. Though I'm sure if you've ever moved, that's not really a surprise. So, like I've said before, I'm not really going to focus at all too much on making content until then. Just because of how hectic it is. I just kind of feel like if I'm going to start something, it's going to be inconsistent and, well, I mean it might anyway just because of how I am, but hopefully that is going to be not as big of an issue if I'm just in one place and everything is hopefully sorted out type of thing. So my plan was to still try out Minecraft, but we'll definitely see what I feel like doing as soon as this whole move thing is done. That should be that one, yes. So I think that pretty much does it for updates on my end. But I did want to talk about some gaming news of games that I'm interested in. So if you just wanted an update, there it was. This heavy, go away. Come on. There we go. So for gaming news of games that I play, anyway, Genshin Impact had their first year anniversary, which ended up being... Ooh, that was an amazing score, wow. Which was pretty much a dumpster fire of public relations on the side of Genshin's part. 895 capture points in one game. Wow. I was not expecting that. I must have been doing well. Maybe I should play this one again. But the heavies weren't really focusing on me too much, so that definitely helped. 6,000. Go with the Yak 30 this time. So basically, Genshin Impact, for those who know about it or have heard of it, it's a game that has made a ton of money over the last year, and I think some statistics were saying that it was at over $1 billion. And even though that, of course, developing a game is very expensive, $1 billion is still a lot of money, even for, I think even for like AAA titles, making $1 billion profit on that is pretty amazing. Now, the thing is that it is a gacha game, so it deals with, you have to essentially gamble for loot boxes in order to get new characters, and for the anniversary they basically just had 10 wishes, which is basically nothing, as well as an event that was basically doing the same thing as players do every patch, so when new content comes out. So it wasn't really that special at all. And then after the whole deal, then they gave out a little bit more rewards, but not exactly a lot. So that was definitely interesting to watch. Ooh, this is not gonna be good for a Yak 30, that's for sure. Seems like, oh, there's only that F86A though. This is pretty much the worst map for a Yak 30. With 3 zones I can't really influence too much. So that was... It kind of amazes me in many ways of where you have these big companies, and of course they have, or at least they should have, a department on how to deal with like their social media and like their relations with players and how they do announcements and everything. It kind of amazes me when something like really blows up and it seems like the company can pretty much just say anything to calm down that fire, except they don't do anything. Like, to me, that just seems bizarre. And the sad thing is that Genshin isn't the only one who has done that recently. So, Arknights has had a controversy on having a situation like that when it kind of came to limited banners in that game. So, it was definitely... Well, really. Apparently they're accurate enough to do that. That's so weird that we got like the opposite way. Thingy. Whatever you want to call it, the airfields. But Arknights, they made it so that they had a limited banner that people really didn't like, with how soon it came as well as the character in question and everything. And they pretty much didn't say anything either for that to reassure the player base in that game. And it's just kind of a reminder that in many ways of every game, as perfect as it might seem, as much as you might like it, it's probably going to... It isn't going to last forever in that state. Let's just put it that way. Like, as much as I really do like Arknights, it was just a good reminder of, hey, they're gonna do stuff that I might not like either. Hey, now all I can do is maybe go over to the... defend the... Yeah. Defend these guys. Okay, there we go. Now I'm gonna defend the mine as well. So moving on to other things, Path of Exile announced its update with Scourge League, and Scourge League, it honestly just seems like an advance, like just an extension to Breach, if I'm being honest. It's essentially where if you kill enough monsters, then you can essentially go either in a Breach or Delirium segment whenever you want, or whenever you get enough kills, which is kind of interesting, but it isn't exactly reinventing the wheel or anything. Which, I mean, you can't reinvent the wheel every time. So it's an alright league idea, but to me, with Path of Exile, or at least these days, is that it's the under the hood changes that are much more important. Really? Leave me alone. I go in a line for like 5 seconds and then they just do half my HP. Like, oh well, I guess that's what Yak 30s are for. Come on, there we go. Surprisingly, we're actually winning this one. At least we are now. And yeah, they took that one. So yeah, the league mechanic, it's okay. It's probably going to be just fine, but the under the hood changes of the balance changes that they do is pretty much what I look at every league at this point, because ultimately if the balance changes essentially ruin anything that I would care about, then the league is kind of irrelevant in my mind. That's just kind of my opinion on that. So what they decided to do is basically kill aura bots and curse bots, more or less. Well, or at least the universal kind. So what that means is that you pretty much have to specialize in a specific curse now. And for aura bots, you can't use as many auras. So that is a pretty big problem. And I think they reduced how much aura effect you can have from cluster jewels again. I don't remember, but the specifics. But anyway, maybe I should have just gone for the airfield. Oh, we won. I was not expecting that. I thought they turned it around at the last moment. So they changed the whole mana reservation thing to be less effective if you don't put investment in mana reservation, which is kind of weird to think about, because isn't kind of the whole point is that if you invest in it, it exponentially gets better, theoretically, like hopefully any other mechanic. But they pretty much just wanted to get rid of that mechanic altogether with having just these support bot characters, which I kind of understand, but at the same time, that was one of the major changes that I really didn't like for the game. Because at this point I was pretty much mainly making support characters, so now that they pretty much killed the main source of a support character in pretty much most instances, like, what is the point? The other thing too is that they reworked damage over time builds to make them look better on the surface, but they actually got nerfed in the long run because of specific keystones. So that's pretty funny in a sad way. And then what else? They added a bunch of different mechanics. They tried to make it so that defenses were generally better without like specific investment, I guess is the best way I can describe it. Like, they completely removed dodge to essentially make evasion and armor better. They improved how those two are calculated so that they're actually a lot more useful now. But at the same time, though, it just feels like with every improvement that they do for a lot of different mechanics, that they just mess it up, or at least do something that is very unintuitive. And this patch is just full of those. Like, they added for supporting characters, where you can have a skill that essentially links you with your party, which is a really cool idea. You know, if you're close enough to your party, similar to auras, except I think only with one other party member, then you get a specific buff. But the problem is that they made it so that if either of you die, the other person does as well. So it's like a pretty decent idea, but then they just had to kill it by adding, in my opinion, a stupid, quite frankly stupid mechanic to it. And of course I get lit on fire. Pretty sure I have firefighting, but he took out my tail, so that's great. So yeah, my Scourge review is definitely going to be interesting. I mean, to be completely honest, I don't really play Path of Exile regularly, pretty much at all anymore. And with the previous patch of essentially nerfing all characters between 20 and 50% besides, like, traps for some reason, it's been, like, it just kind of feels like, what is the point? Especially since they kept nerfing defenses. And then this patch they decided to add defenses back, sort of. Should be able to outturn this guy. Well, of course he takes out my tail. Come on, come on. So it's pretty much a mixed bag of decent ideas, but their execution is just so all over the place that they ultimately didn't really do enough to compensate for the removal of a lot of different defenses from ascendancies over the last few patches, and with the increased difficulty that they did in the previous patch. So yeah, it's been strange, to say the least. I don't know if I'll ever really get back into Path of Exile in a more hardcore sense, or at least regular player sense. Because me and my friend Warmonger, we've been doing just older action RPGs like Titan Quest and Dungeon Siege 1, and we've been having a lot more fun with it, in my opinion, because in those games, you aren't really penalized for dying, and that's pretty much like a somewhat big gripe that I have with Path of Exile. I mean, it isn't necessarily my main gripe, but it is a big enough of one that it's definitely in the forefront of my mind whenever I think about the negatives that I don't like about the game. So I definitely think that in that sense it's kind of difficult to go back to a game when another game does a lot of what this other game does, except without the annoying things of the previous game. So yeah, after I do my Scourge review, I am planning on... Oh, come on. There. Yeah, the Act 30 just feels like it's made out of tissue paper or something. It's not really the best for capping zones. It's mainly just there to defend zones with its superior maneuverability. And that's about it. There we go. So I do plan on making a video relatively soon after I make my Scourge League review of just my thoughts and opinions on other action RPGs and how they compare to Path of Exile, because the game Titan Quest, which is apparently made like late in the early 2000s, before, I think it was 2009, and it obviously isn't exactly like Path of Exile, but it has a lot of the general ideas, and I just feel like it executes them so well enough without the major drawbacks that Path of Exile has that are so frustrating to deal with. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'll take out this guy. Ah. Gotcha. Oh, now the J7 decides to shoot me. Okay. Yeah, I think this CannonChat has gone on, I think, long enough here. So with World of Warplanes, they have been doing this marathon of getting a tier 9 premium theoretically for free. And it's actually quite doable, especially compared to the marathons in World of Tanks or World of Warships, especially since you can do them at pretty much any aircraft that you want. And the 7,500 capture points is a really long grind, but that 900 capture points from the TU-12 battle, that was a... I don't know how that happened. So yeah, that one guy that I took out the end, he was playing the tier 9 premium. So with all of that being said, though, so that's kind of my thoughts on what's been kind of going on after Scourge launches, and of course the killing of essentially my favorite character that I probably was going to be one of the few characters that I would actually play, my Aurabot supporting character. In all honesty, I don't know really... this latest patch, I think it was 3.16, was really just in many ways a breaking point for me of whether or not I would enjoy the game, because they were really pushing in a direction that I didn't like before, and in some ways many of the things that they did were justified, but things like essentially ruining Harvest and some of the other things, as well as avoiding fixing some of the things, it really put me in a spot where I would genuinely think of, like, why would I bother continuing to play this game? But with this patch, this 3.17 Scourge update, I think in many ways they are doing quite a lot of quality of life that was needed for a long time, but some of the very, very specific things that they're looking at for defenses and stuff, as far as I can tell, Energy Shield is going to be stronger than ever. So, I mean, just play a witch or a shadow character. Templar might be decent as well. And just go with Energy Shield. But, in all honesty, it's going to be a mixed bag, but it's going to be interesting regardless. But like I said, it just feels like there are so many good things that they did think of that that improve the game, but there are a lot of things that they just missed the mark on. So yeah, that was my ramblings of Path of Exile out of the way. It's still funny to me that me and my friend Warmonger can essentially rant on 50 minutes of looking at patch notes for a video. But regardless, this has been an interesting month with being around this time. This is where generally a lot of games that have those periodic updates do their updates. Like one of their last updates of the year, or second to last updates of the major updates of the year around this time. So there's definitely been something. But I'm hoping, or at least in many ways we'd better have this whole moving process done by the time I do my next monthly CannonChat. So with that, thank you very much for watching and have a wonderful day.